Now, you might have seen on social media or elsewhere that we had booked new LSU head coach Lane Kiffin to join us on College Game Day this morning. Unfortunately, late last night, Kiffin decided that he was not going to come and appear on the show. There were several questions that we wanted to ask. Those will have to wait for another day. You also might have seen the E60 documentary, The Many Lives of Lane Kiffin. It documented his compelling and controversial journey that took him to Oxford. It turns out that just sort of set the stage for the bombshell turn, and now it's taken him to Baton Rouge. Was this decision made for, although he certainly had the right to make it? Here's a timeline of how things unfolded. Florida dismissed Billy Napier. LSU fires Brian Kelly. Opened two prominent SEC jobs, both of whom pursued Lane Kiffin. Now, on November 21st, Kiffin met with Keith Carter for clarity on his future coming after the Egg Bowl. Carter told me this week that it had been clear to Kiffin and his representatives for weeks if he was leaving, not coaching in the playoff. November 28th, Florida shifts its focus away from Kiffin, thinking they're not going to win the sweepstakes. Rebels beat Mississippi State. They had to wait on the result of the Iron Bowl, or else Kiffin and the Rebels potentially would have been here to play for the SEC championship game. When Alabama won and advanced to the title game, Kiffin accepted the LSU head coaching position and will not coach Ole Miss in the college football playoff. Pete Golding will coach the team, and he was named permanent head coach for the Rebels, the defensive coordinator for Ole Miss. Another thing that came up during the week as this unfolded was the fact that Lane Kiffin called Nick, sought advice. Of course, former assistant for Coach Saban there. They, too, as many people know, share an agent in Jimmy Sexton. There are several of us who are represented by agents at CAA. That is not unusual. CAA represents a lot of different things. I do. Oh, I am represented by CAA. I didn't know that. So, I didn't know who you guys had. So.
No, that's okay.
But I do.
I am, too. I do, too.
Not Jimmy Sexton, but a different you.
Not Jimmy Sexton.
Okay.
No.
Anyway, we have clarified that. Here is the point of it. Nick, I think people would not be surprised to find out that you get a lot of calls, not just from former assistants, people all over the country. How do you handle that when you get called about a potential job opening and a coach maybe moving?
Well, I think I get a lot of calls because some people view me maybe as a senior professional that has a lot of experience in the game after 50 years, 25 years as a head coach. So as a person, as a human being, you want to help everybody you can. You know, I'm kind of in this for the betterment of the game, really for the players. And coaches impact players. Administrators impact players. So anyone who calls me, whether it's a player, a coach, an administrator, I try to do the best I can to give them the best information to make the best decisions for the betterment of the game. The first thing I ask a coach, if he's contemplating changing jobs, is, what do you want to do? And I want them to follow their heart in terms of what they want to accomplish and what they want to do. I never tell anybody what they should do. I just try to bring some thought into it so that they can make a good decision for themselves and their family and their future.
What did you think he was I know you talked with him quite a bit. What did you think he was contemplating? Was he close? Did you think he was going to stay at Ole Miss, or was it all along, was it LSU?
No, I think he was very confused. And I think this is a difficult circumstance to be in. I've been in this situation before where you finish the season, you want to stay with your team, you want to coach them, whether it's in a bowl game or the playoffs or whatever it is, but you feel like you owe it to yourself and your family to at least look at other opportunities and consider them and see if they think that's a better situation for you in the future. And based on the way the calendar is, that never fits together correctly.
You said the calendar. I saw Bob Chesney coach his team last night. I saw John Summerall coach his team last night. Why is that different from Ole Miss?
Because those people got together and said, this is not going to be a problem.
Wow.
No, we're going to let them coach, or they're going to do whatever they do. That's the way I always did it when I had assistant coaches who left. I mean, Kirby left right after we won the SEC championship and we're going to the playoffs. I said, okay, you can go these days and do this, and you can go to the bowl game. Here's when we're going to practice. Here's when I expect you to be here. But never a problem.
You did tell Lane to leave after the semifinal against Washington. Remember, you were getting ready and Sark took over the play calling. There was that one example, but other than that, I mean, it's...
Well, but, you know, that was a situation where, you know, Lane was struggling to handle taking a new job, hiring a new staff, recruiting new players at a new place, which was Florida Atlantic, and doing his job at LSU the way the players and the rest of the staff thought he should. So we mutually agreed that it would be better for him just to move on. So it is what it is.
You talk about the James Madison job, North Texas job, and then moving up and everything. I don't think their original schools view the next school as direct competition for recruits and also direct competition next year and also in the same conference. So I think going from a smaller school, no offense, group of 5 school to one of the bigger jobs in one of the Power 4 conferences, I think it's viewed a little bit different than Ole Miss coach heading to LSU. But for the reasons that you were talking about there, about are you able to focus and worry about the job at hand, or are you worrying about the future, especially whenever you're going to be playing against this team next year? And I like the fact that you clarified that all along they were saying, hey, if you take this other job, you're not going to be able to coach your team during the playoffs. I think that was something that we heard that he was fighting for. And in theory, I guess it makes sense. But in the reality of the situation, I don't know if LSU wanted him to do that either. Now, granted, if he's just parading around as the next LSU coach and recruiting all his own players to go there, I think obviously that's a nightmare, which is certainly possible. So I think it was nasty. And if you ask all the old college football people, especially around here, it seemingly was inevitable that he was going to go to LSU, is what everybody kind of was saying.
Yeah.
I was just holding on hope that he built his own kind of road down there at Ole Miss.
I'm with you 100%.
Yeah, the one thing I would say about this whole thing is Ole Miss did acknowledge that Lane Kiffin was trying to change their minds in the situation the entire time and really hadn't accepted what they had told him earlier until at the very end. But they said they made it completely clear this was a non-starter for them going to a conference rival.
Yeah, first of all, I thought he should have stayed. I agree with you. I would have wanted to stay there and just see this whole thing out, not just for this season, but just for your career, because he was doing something in Oxford that was very special. And speaking with players and communicating with administrators down there in Oxford, they're just glad that it's all over. It was a lot. It was excessive. And now they have clear vision. They know who their coach is. They're looking forward to the college football playoff.
Yeah, Charlie Weiss coming
exactly.
back, which is great.
So this is good for them from the standpoint that did they want him to coach? If the guy's leaving, I heard that the players committee was like very emotional and like, if you're not going to stay here, then let's just see who our coach is going to be. They really wanted their assistant coaches to coach them, and he poached some of those guys and took them to LSU with them. But now they have clear vision. They know who their coach is, and they're happy down there.
I think it's normal for administrators to be paranoid. I think anybody that competes against anybody.
Yeah.
But we sat in 2015. Kirby was going to Georgia, Schumann was going with him, and Mel Tucker was going with him. So I'm sitting in the defensive room getting ready to play the national championship game against Clemson. They're recruiting for Georgia. We're getting ready to play the game. But those guys had professional integrity to the players and to the team that they coached all year, and for the opportunity that those guys created for them because of the success that we had. And we went and won the game, and as soon as the game over, they left.
Yeah.
So you can do it. It's doable. But everybody's paranoid about this kind of buzz.
Maybe so, but isn't it different for the head coach? The head coach leaving as opposed to an assistant leaving.
There's a never-ending one of these, about it all, which is why it was a no-win situation. You told me yesterday, staying with his team and maybe going to win it all, I think everybody would have been understanding and happy for, which is what we were telling him publicly and privately, personally, was doing that. I think a lot of people were. But you told me basically yesterday, you look at his recruiting right now. I mean, he's got the number 1 recruit in the country signing with him, meeting him whenever he gets there. He's got the number 1 D lineman in the country. He kept his defensive coordinator down there. Like everything that he thought and envisioned happening at LSU, and the reason why he took the job is coming to fruition. So I think he's moving on as well.
Yeah.
And I think us as college football fans are all pumped. We don't have to deal with the controversy anymore.
Well, one thing about LSU, the state of Louisiana, Belichick used to make us do all these projects in the offseason. Where did the players in the NFL come from? Per capita, Louisiana has more players playing in the NFL than any other state. Per capita, not more than California or Florida or whatever, but per capita. That was one of the reasons I was interested in that job when I went from Michigan State there, was the players in the state give you an opportunity to be successful, and that's probably something that Lane took into
all that talent, they are not in the college football playoff. Ole Miss is in the college football playoff. Interesting dynamic. I want to win a national championship. Well, you can. Well, I want to, though. All right, but you can. Well, I'm leaving. Interesting. Very interesting. As somebody that's newer to the college football world, it's craziness.
It begs a question. Why is winning in the future better than a chance to win right now?
And with how much we've worked. You know, there's that graphic, that metaphor of the guy with the axe, and then there's all the diamonds, and then he turns around with his axe when he's this far away from the diamonds. And then there's a new person coming in there to do that. I sent that to Lane 30 times. I'm like, yo, keep going, bro. You're right there. But instead, we got a better path, I guess, somewhere else. Good luck to all parties.
New person is Pete Golding, and to your point,
Yes.
I hear the players are very happy that the focus is back on their team.
Absolutely.
You want this, you got that. No way, watch them walk right past you.